This video graphic highlights the performance of Singapore's resident labour force in 2012. The findings are based on data from the Comprehensive Labour Force Survey conducted in the middle of the year. Singapore's resident labour force grew by 1.9% over the year in June 2012, faster than the growth of 1.6% in 2011. Nevertheless, this remained substantially below the average increase of 2.6% per annum over the decade, reflecting the slower growth in resident population in recent years. There were 2.12 million residents in the labour force in June 2012. The faster growth in resident labour force in 2012 stemmed from the increase in resident labour force participation rate. A record 66.6% of the resident population aged 15 and over participated in the labour force in 2012, up from 66.1% in 2011. This was supported by continued gains in labour force participation rate among older residents and women in the prime working ages. With the rise in labour force participation rate and continued high employment creation, the employment rate rose to another new high. 78.8% of the resident population aged 25 to 64 were employed in 2012, up from 78% in 2011. The employment rate for older residents increased at a faster pace amid the tight labour market and measures to improve the employability of older residents, including the implementation of the re-employment legislation and the enhanced special employment credit in early 2012. 64% of residents aged 55 to 64 were employed in 2012, higher than 61.2% in 2011. The employment rate for both older males and females rose to new highs, from 76.4% in 2011 to 79.7% in 2012 for males, and 46.3% to 48.1% for females. Females in the prime working ages of 25 to 54 also experienced an increase in employment rate from 73% in 2011 to a record 74% in 2012. Although this remained lower than the employment rate of 92.7% for prime working age men, the gap continued to narrow as the latter only increased marginally from 92.6% in 2011. Both professionals, managers, executives and technicians known as PMETs and the non-PMETs experienced employment gains over the year, driven by the strong increase in clerical, sales and service workers, which outweighed the decrease in production and related workers. Resident non-PMET employment increased by 2.7% in 2012, faster than a growth of 1.5% for PMETs. Consequently, the PMET share of resident employment dipped from 52.2% in 2011 to 51.9% in 2012. This was still higher than the 44.6% in 2002, as PMETs experienced faster employment growth over the decade at 4.5% per annum than 1.4% per annum for non-PMETs. Income growth moderated in 2012 amid the weaker economic conditions, including employer CPF contributions. The median monthly income from work of full-time employed residents rose over the year by 7.1% to $3,480 in 2012, down from the growth of 8.3% in 2011. Accounting for inflation using the Consumer Price Index for all items, the real median income growth moderated to 2.5% in 2012 from 2.9% in 2011. Cumulatively, the median income including employer CPF contributions of full-time employed residents rose by 37% over the last 5 years, from $2,543 in 2007 to $3,480 in 2012, or 6.5% per annum. The increase after adjusting for inflation was 13% or 2.4% per annum. In summary, the resident employment rate reached a new high, reflecting the high employment creation and the rise in labour force participation among women and older residents. However, income growth has moderated amid the weaker economic conditions. With that, we've come to the end of the video graphic. For more information, please refer to the Labour Force in Singapore 2012 report at the following web address.